bit of this, bit of spinning. That's shout out to the regulars. Cut of a jigsaw, the blade can wander a bit. We'll little offer it in, and they look like the ones downstairs. We've always got cork or silicone. Where have I been? Well, I'm back on this job. This job here, so you can see I've got the floors gone down. I'll just quickly show you. If you've watched some of my other videos, you know that I was here a few weeks ago. So the floor's gone down, I've done the skirting boards. I'm now doing the window boards. I just thought I'd show you because I'm basically matching what I've done another time. So we've got, I don't want to show too much. I've got that window board in there. I'm matching those throughout the rest of the house now. Basically, I've got some in. So here they are. I just need a final sand, and you can see they're a pain to get in because everything's been decorated. Normally your window boards would go in, you plaster down onto the top. So this one here, we've scribed it into the wall, and then I've actually left it short at the back because I'm going to match a trim because I've got to hide all the old silicone and stuff. And you can actually see if you look down, you can see that, but the gap is not consistent. And that's purely because these windows are bowed, they're bowed in. It's not that uncommon with the plastic stuff. Yeah, it actually makes it quite hard because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get it sort of like in against there nice and tight, and against there nice and tight. And that's like a three-sided scribe, and you're trying to consider these horns as well. So there's a lot to consider. So I just thought I'd quickly show you, because I'm on window board number 4 now, I think. Yeah, 4 or 5. Anyway, and I thought I'd show you how it is. I'm scribing them in very quickly as a little tip. I'm not going to show you me cutting it or anything like that. It's part of what I'm doing now. I'm not going to get too involved, which I'll explain in another video. Basically, you want a, so if we just take the opening, which I've taken the tiles off and the old silicone and stuff, I have got to do a little bit more scraping out, I've just noticed, which does irritate me, to be honest with you. Basically, I've got this opening here, yeah, okay? So we've now got a way of, so in this opening, we've got to try and fit a window board. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, trying to get it to fit all at one time is quite hard without taking too much off. So what I have, 6mm is perfect, by the way, because we're going to scribe it in with the jigsaw because these walls are quite wobbly. You can get away with doing it with a tracksaw, but when you've got a wobbly wall, you're better off with a jigsaw. So 6mm, when you cut with a jigsaw, the blade can wander a bit. Well, it will wander a lot less than 6mm. And we're going to use this as a template. So what you do is you slide it over. You've got to ignore the back. In my case, you've got to go with the front. So what I do is I use my ruler and I'll parallel the front edge. And in this case, that actually, so if you look at this window, can you see how it's got a, probably don't know if this camera's picking it up, but it's got a bit of a wobble on it. So basically what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to slide it over. And we know that I've basically paralleled it. I've already done this. I've paralleled it off the front. So we've got a straight line across the front. We then, using a compass or a scribe tool, we scribe in against the wall, which I've done. And then, depending on how many you've got to do, so in this instance, on mine, I've got 9 to do, I think. So I'll be forever going through the MDF. That's going to keep getting smaller and smaller. So I'm not actually doing the horns on the scribe. I'm just marking them and doing a little bit. So what you do is you scribe it in with your pencil mark. And while you're up here, you take your ruler, it's very awkward to do, and you place it on the wall at the angle that the wall's kicking out at, which is that angle. You can probably even see that's not square to the board. That would be square to the board. But the wall is actually shooting back, or that's shooting in. So you get that angle, right? And then you draw a line along here, which I've done. That's that line. Obviously, you want to be rubbing out your old lines from your previous window boards. We write left-hand side. We do exactly the same thing over here. And we write right-hand side. Okay, and we've got the same line. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take I've already cut this. So I would have taken this downstairs, jigsawed it, then come back up, make sure it fits. I'm actually happy enough with that. I've just looked at this side. That's a really good side. We're happy with that. And then what you can do is you can then measure. I've gone through this before. You can either measure and mark it on your template, measuring back to here. But in this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the front. there, and let's just say, so like downstairs, one of them was 1154. So I'll write 1154, and then we'll measure the back. Obviously, you can do that by measuring over 500, pencil mark on the frame, measure back over, add those two measurements up. Write your measurement is on the back. You want to take that downstairs, put that on your window board, using this as a parallel, not necessarily set to the front because I've oversized it because each one's different. Using this parallel to the front, that's the most important thing. Mark your horn, measure over the whatever it would be at the back, say 1160, measure over your 1154 at the front, slide that over, and just double check then. That's a chance to see whether keeping parallel keeps those lines, and if not, that's when you want to start just giving it a bit of adjustment or slightly overcutting it. And then you want to eye that pencil line using another straight edge like the ruler onto the horn and cut that out. Then you bring it up, offer it in, and they look like the ones downstairs. It's that simple. The main reason we're doing it that way is because you can scribe one side in, yeah, no problem. Drop that in, but then you can't scribe that side in without it being up at an angle, because you'd have your board, and then obviously that side would be cut in perfectly, but this side would always be too long, and the horn would be in the way as well. So at some point you've got to commit and cut. And then if you thought to yourself, oh, I'll make it a little bit long and leave it like that and scribe it in like that. Well, if this wall's out a level or a different shape higher up, and also when you're going up at an angle in carpentry, if you're trying to square on a diagonal, a funny thing happens where it doesn't quite work out right. So that way you just, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've done it that way before, I've had to, and you can get it good enough. We've always got cork or silicone because we're scribing into an existing wall. At some point, you're going to have a bit of tolerance on it. But yeah, I've got all these to do, so I'll apply the same system to all of those. It's just a quick and sort of foolproof way of doing it, really. Especially if you're using the 6mm, because it's nice and light, it's easy to cut. Therefore, what I was saying about the jigsaw blade wandering, what will happen with that is I can actually lay that down as it is rather than worrying about flipping it upside down and tracing off this line. Just makes it a little bit easier, because I also am a firm believer in cut stuff as you look at it, because I've now got to go downstairs, I've got to go out there to all my kit, and I've got to put this on the bench, and I've got to cut it. Probably I've got to cut that one, so that's one cut. I've got to come back up, probably have to adjust it, that's another cut. Then you've got to do the oak, that's another cut. You might have to adjust that, that's another cut. Then you've got to router the edges. You might be up and down 4 and 5 times. In that time, your phone rings, something like that. You turn around, you do a bit of this, a bit of spinning. That's shout out to the regulars. Yeah, basically, and you're going to make a mistake. So I'm a firm believer in cut it as you're looking at it, mark it as you look at it, and use a template. That's it.